So welcome to 10 quick tips to improve your chef workflow. And like I said, each one of these came from either a chef employee or member of the community. And that's really the main point here. You're not meant to stop with these 10. Find awesome people while you're here at ChefConf and talk to them, because they've solved a lot of problems. They have a lot of good advice for you that can help you in your own workflow. So the first one from our own Adam Edwards. Sometimes you need to work on a Windows workstation, either by choice. Oh, we lost our slides. Okay. Either by choice or by force. You have a Windows machine and you need to write chef code on it. How can you make that more delightful? Now, I've tried this, and I've tried to open the command prompt and go, how do you copy and paste things? And why won't this window get bigger? And I'm flipping the table over, Okay. So follow Adam's advice, and you'll never want to flip a table again when you write chef code on a Windows workstation. And when I asked Adam for this tip, I said, just give me something short. And he sent me a whole manifesto on how to set up a Windows machine. It's not quite manifesto. It's about 8 or 9 steps. I promise you they're very easy, because I did it this morning. I spun up a VM. The first thing you're going to want to do is install Chocolatey. It's a package manager for Windows. So get that on there. And then you can go ahead and install all these other goodies. ConEmu, there's your terminal emulator. PS readline makes that command prompt delightful and adds all colors and stuff to it. And get yourself a good text editor. When we teach Chef Fundamentals, we ask this question, so what's your favorite text editor? There's no wrong answer to that, except for Notepad. Friends don't let friends use Notepad. So, by the way, there is a gist on GitHub, and these slides will be available online. So I'm not going to go through all the steps, but Adam has written out a really nice, short tutorial on how to get the Windows workstation set up to write delightful chef code. So that's tip number 1. Number 2, from Josh Timberman. Who's using ServerSpec today? All right. So if you'd like to learn more about ServerSpec, you haven't started using it, one of the things you can do to make it work better is use a shared helper file, a spec helper file. And what that file does is store things that are common to all of your tests. So you may want to pull in some Ruby gem or have a little library, something like that. You can put that in one file and not have to repeat yourself. So that makes your testing workflow very easy. You can have all of those shared settings in one place and not have to write them over and over again. Tip number 3. One of my favorites. So Julian Dunn contributed this one. Use MixLib shellout. So we all know about the execute resource, right? And when I first started writing chef code, it was like, execute till the cows come home. Let's just execute all the things, right? And then you go back to your code 6 months later and go, gosh, who wrote this? Oh, wait, it was me. This is one of those things that can help with that. So when you need to run a command and you're just not, you want to do more than execute the command. Maybe you need to gather some data from the system or, have some sort of bash script or PowerShell run. You can use the MixLib shellout library, which is now built into Chef 12. So the most common use will be shellout bang that will execute the command on the system and raise an error if the command fails. Super useful. So got the link to the documentation here. No more backticks for any of you. If you feel the urge to use the backticks, go with MixLib shellout. Okay, this one's from Nell. And this is not actually about code. This is about learning from others. So sometimes you'll sit down with some awesome chef and say, hey, how did you do that? That was really cool. That thing you did with Test Kitchen, Fletcher, or John Kaiser showing me chef provisioning, and I'm amazed. It's like, wow, how could I capture all that? So this is a great tip here. Use screen recording software. That way you can record everything that person did and not have to sort of sort through your mind like, well, what steps did we take to get where we are? You can always go back and review the video later and see exactly what they type line by line. And that'll help you with your learning. Number 5, contributed by Anne-Marie Fred from IBM. She's unfortunately not here, but Anne-Marie is a great member of our community. So in testing, we often want to spin up a VM or a container to run some tests on it. But if you have big, huge binary installers, as you know, that can take a while to download, especially over conference Wi-Fi. Just saying. So how can we solve that? So one thing you can do is take your master image and sort of pre-bake the largest components of it into the image. So say you have Java or .NET, something that normally would have taken 15 minutes to download. Bake that into the image, especially if it's not really relevant to your test. That way the image can spin up, the container can spin up really quickly, finish all of its tests, and then shut down, give you valuable feedback at the end. So that can help your CD/CI pipeline to move faster. Chef Client is a perfect example. And there are some tips and tricks you can use to cache the Chef Client locally. I'm not going to go into detail now, but if you have questions, just come ask one of us. We can help you with that. Troubleshoot with Pry by Claire McQuinn. So did you ever wish you could pause a chef run and sort of stop it in time and roll it forward slowly? Yeah. Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, cool. All right, we're right on track then. This is a nice little tip that you can use to do exactly that. So it's really simple. At the top of your recipe, require the Pry gem. You might have to install it first. If you don't know what Pry is, it's like Ruby IRB, the REPL or command line interpreter. But it's like IRB on steroids. So you get some autocomplete, some cool syntax highlighting, colors, history, which is nice. You can go back if you made a typo. So what this does is bring Pry into the context of the chef run. And then wherever you want the breakpoint to start, go ahead and just put binding.pry in there. Run the chef client, and as soon as it runs into the binding line, it will stop, and you can go Control-D to actually advance through the chef client run one step, one resource at a time. And you can also, during the chef run, examine the node object. And that probably is one of the most important uses of this, because ever have an attribute not get set the way you wanted it to? Yeah, we know about that. Yeah, no, never. So troubleshooting with Pry can help you with that. This is another one of my favorites. Michael Getz taught me this. Sometimes we need to store data temporarily during the chef run. We might not want to have it a permanent part of the node object, but something that changed, something that came up during that chef run, we need to store that data somewhere and apply it somewhere else. So where can we hang that data? First instinct might be to throw it into a temporary file. Toss it in the temp directory. This is a little more elegant way to do it. There is a run state that you could, the node.run state that you can actually attach pieces of data to and then pass them on to other resources later in the chef run. Very powerful thing to know. So learn how to use node run state. In the gist for this, I have a link to some examples of how you might do that. So that's a great tip. 8. So my Ruby guru, Franklin Weber, contributed this one. Super smart guy. If you ever get a chance to take a class from Franklin, take it. He's amazing. So his tip was coerce everything instead of checking for nil. What does that mean? Sometimes we want to do defensive programming and make sure that garbage data doesn't get into our systems. And one of those things might be checking to see that something's just not set. It's nil. Okay. So one way you could do that is with an if statement. You could say, if this parameter is nil, then do something, and if not, do something else. You can actually just be more bold and explicit and say, whatever it is, convert it to a string, chomp off the line break, and just move right on, okay? So we've gone from 5 or 6 lines to code to 1 and made this much more efficient. Try to keep all this crazy logic out of your templates. Instead of having all of that, you can simplify it. Number 9, Pimp my text editor. Matt doesn't even know he contributed this yet, and I think he had to go to something else. But it sounds simple, but pick a good text editor. We don't care which one. Some of you like Sublime. Some people are fans of Atom. Some people like VI, and some are unfortunately stuck with Emacs. Any Emacs folks? All right, represent. Emacs is awesome. If only it came with a good text editor. One more. Okay, don't throw anything at me, please. I didn't come to start a flame war. And then finally, my last note, Kevin Dickerson was kind enough to contribute this about 45 minutes ago over lunch because I had 9 and I needed 1 more. Close the computer, take a break, walk away from it, and get out that good old-fashioned notebook. Write stuff down. It's sort of low-tech, and it may sound silly, but the act of writing things down connects your brain to your hand. Your eyes are involved. It's good to take notes. and write them down, and then put them into your source code repo later. And I think I have a few seconds left. The bonus slide here, we've been told not to swear during our presentations because these go on YouTube and stuff. And so we have a list of alternative swear words. You can take these with you. If you're feeling like you need to flip a table, you could say, oh, shiitake mushroom. And bollocks is another favorite. Who's from the UK? Anyone from the UK? Okay. Here in the States, nobody knows what bollocks is, so I can scream bollocks at the top of my lungs, and that's a great word too. So take these if you need some, non-alcoholic, faux swear words for your presentations. Here they are, and that's the end. 10 quick tips plus a bonus slide.
Let's give it up for Sean.